What is going on, my friend? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Dr. Brian McElderry, former pharmacist turned holistic life and business coach, speaker, and author. And on this channel, we discuss all things life mastery, minimalism, and entrepreneurship, all to create this abundance in things that we seek out, which is love, money, and to create an impact in the world. So if that sounds good to you, what I would like for you to do really quickly, it's a small investment. I don't have any ads running. I don't have anything going on this channel as of yet. So you can just hit that like button for me really quick. It's a small investment. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, pause the video, hit a quick like. I would love that from you before we jump into today's value. Also, if you could hit the subscribe button as well as those notification bells so you know when a new video is out for you to listen to. Now that small investment is made into yourself and it helps the channel out, blast this out to more and more people so they can benefit from this just like you that are listening right now in this moment. I'm gonna go ahead and dive in right now, and that is with a quick personal story. If you wanna hear more around my story, you can check the links down below in the description. I don't wanna dive too deep, but I have to create some context around like what in the world gives you the right, Brian, to talk around relationships and love and intimacy and connections and marriage.
What'd you say now, sweetheart?
All these different things that I believe people are looking for, but it's also a detriment to a lot of people's progress. Okay, so let me know down below in the comments if you resonate with that in some way. Okay, so I'm an Enneagram 3, roughly 4. It kind of teeter-totters, right? I'm an achiever. Like I really want to get my goals done. I constantly think about my goals, but I'm also very soft-spoken, emotional. I'm very tapped into emotional man. I'm very tapped into my feminine side as well as my masculine energy, right? And that just allows me to be tapped into my emotions very heavily. This can be an advantage a lot of times for me because I am able to read people through my studies of NLP and understanding the emotional connections between a lot of decisions that we make and why we're not where we want to be in our lives. But 3.5 years ago, I moved down to Dallas, Texas, and it was not out of my own choice. Right? And many of my guys, maybe you can attest to this, my women as well that are listening, you can attest that a lot of times the decisions that we make are made based on another individual of either same sex. I want to be making sure that if you're watching this right now, love is universal, but also if you are in a heterosexual relationship as well, you know that that woman or man is pulling you in some way. I cannot be alone on this. I cannot be alone on this, that we make a lot of our decisions that are pulled in a certain direction because we are seeking constantly that love, that infatuation that we feel, that emotion that comes up, that comes from passion and intimacy and connection, right? And I'm going to go over all this as kind of a hint of what we're going to be going over today. But for me, 3.5 years ago, I moved down to Dallas, Texas, almost 4 years now, if you're listening to this at the end of 2020. And it was because of a woman, okay? It was because of a woman. And yes, I did that. I finished pharmacy school and I said, yes, I'm going wherever she goes, right? So this relationship was around the 6-year mark or so at that point. We were college kind of sweethearts and whatnot. And we went up to, graduate school in the same city, and then we were having this plan, right, for your life together. And in that time span, it was a love that was more so, in my particular opinion, now that I understand this, it was more so around the infatuation of being in the perfect, good looking per se, based on other people's opinions, this complacency around this togetherness that you have, this companionship that you have based on others of what they believe should be the right thing to do. Let me make this simpler. We had other folks telling us, y'all look good together, y'all a perfect couple, y'all match each other. This just works. How many of you have felt that in your relationship currently, or maybe you are feeling that like you're looking or seeking for that, right? So that was the relationship that I was in, and the accolades matched, the degrees kind of matched, everything matched in a way. So I followed this woman down to Dallas, Texas, and long story short, I came home one night, and I've told this story many a times. If you want to listen to the story more, you can, again, check the description. There's also some free trainings for you there as well. I came home one night, and I came home to an empty place. And why do I tell this story is because a lot of times the love that we're looking for, this intimacy that we're looking for, this longing of companionship that we're looking for, a lot of times we feel like we have control over this to a certain extent. We are seeking this out so much so that it can derail your own purpose, your own direction, your own passions of life, your own wants and needs in your life. So this year of 2020, my goal after that, and if you want to connect more around this, around my story, if this resonates with you, just message me, okay? Just hit me up and say, hey Brian, I watched your YouTube video. I want to know how you overcame this. The first step I did was I asked myself a very difficult question, which a lot of people aren't willing to do. During this time span, I was around 2 years into my first business, my holistic health coaching business, and I was 2 years removed from the profession of pharmacy. So I had understood the mindset of, hits and failures and embracing those. So when this hit came, it hit very deeply, right, for me. And for me, I wanted to make sure that in that moment, I was able to ask myself the constructive question, Brian, what could you have done better? What do we do typically? When another person inflicts pain upon our lives and destructs our lives, right? And I put quotes on that because we have choices. And a lot of times the things that are happening to us, we have a choice to flip the script. So I asked myself the tough question, Brian, what could you have done better? And for a lot of y'all, you might be thinking, man, I would have gone off. I don't know what I would have done. Maybe this has happened to you. And it took you months upon months upon months or years that this continuous story was resounding in your mind every day that you aren't able to let it go. There's no release. There's no constructive manner of moving your life forward. So I asked myself that question, and what I came up with was, Brian, you could be a better communicator. Now, this does not mean that I wasn't a good communicator, right? But I asked myself a question of something that I could control. And I could control being a better communicator in that moment. So from the time that happened, around 2.5 years ago right now, I have been, in my personal opinion, a much better communicator. Not just in personal relationships, but business relationships with general people, with taking in consideration people's feelings a little bit more. I'm still working on that. So if you know me, I do have a lot going on, but I do try to communicate as best as possible, even when I'm at fault. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, I want to help you. I want to get you to a place where you can attract love, maybe even find it if you're seeking it. But a lot of times we are seeking out of an empty place. We are seeking from a place of trying to fill a gap, fill a hole that we can fill ourselves first. We have to fill up our own cups before giving to others, right? So I want to help you do this in a constructive manner for your life. How to revive a love story. How to find true love again. 2020 has brought so much wisdom to a lot of people's lives, mine included, especially when it comes to love, when it comes to interpersonal relationships, when it comes to dating and marriage, and just bringing two entities together and communicate effectively towards a common goal. As simple as that sounds, it is so difficult to actually execute, because what people don't realize is that we're selfish. Individuals are naturally selfish when it comes to their own goals, their own aspirations. As much as we say that we are givers and lovers, we internally think about ourselves, about how we can benefit, about how our giving will benefit us in the long term. I can't be speaking to an empty room here. I can't. I can't be the only one that naturally we have this selfish tendency that comes out, right? That's why there's so much friction when it comes to having healthy relationships, friendships, career partners, business partners, colleagues at work. It's difficult because everyone is striving, more specifically in the United States, in my personal opinion. Now, what can we do around this? How can we seek out this love that we so desire holistically? Bringing all of these parties together where we're giving and we're receiving and we're communicating, and it seems like this bliss, right? Have you ever felt that in your life? Maybe you have. Comment down below if you have felt this. If you are seeking this, you are in the right place. And maybe if you have felt it, we can come together and we can create this community again around building true love yet again. So this theory that I'm referring to that you've been patiently waiting on, or maybe you skipped ahead, is the triangular theory of love. It was developed by Robert Sternberg in 1985 when he was doing his psychological research studies at Yale University. He's a psychologist. You can research him down below, or you can just simply Google him. But what he said was that I need to figure out a way to bring all these 7 different formulations of love that people are seeking out, whether they reside in them or whether they are trying to find them. I need to bring all of these pieces together in this simplistic triangle to show people how and where they are missing the mark. So what he did is he said, I'm going to bring commitment into play. I'm going to bring passion into play. I'm going to bring intimacy into play. And I'm going to show people that when you bring those 3 together, if one piece is in line, that means a lot of times the other pieces are falling to the wayside. If you're missing only one out of the 3, you're wondering, why is this not working out how I thought it was going to work out? But if you have all 3 interconnected, you will see that happiness is abundant when you focus on all these different 7 pieces and you bring them together. So where I want to focus first is the first piece where a lot of people find themselves or reside is this passion, right? This passion piece to where I'm just infatuated with a person. I'm infatuated. I'm in a seeking of desire to talk to this individual. I like them. I adore them. I envy them, right? It's this strong emotional connection, whether it be intimate connections or whether it be just simply interpersonal connections that you have in your life. That leads me to my next point, which is the intimacy portion. A lot of people find themselves stuck in a hole. They're trapped. They got trapped, right? The infatuation, the passion extended so deeply that now you're intimately connected with an individual. You find yourself residing here so much so that I've got passion, I've got intimacy, this is wonderful, this is working out great. Now you find yourself in this commitment phase, right? We find ourselves kind of holding back a lot of times from this ultimate commitment to another individual, whether it be a friend, a family member, a spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, right? There's this, it starts off with a passion. It starts with an infatuation, this ability to hone in on our senses, right? We are natural human beings. So the first thing that before anyone speaks is that we see an individual. And then we move into this physical connection. And then there comes the commitment phase. But what happens a lot of times when we reside in one of these areas? I see so many people now, and you just heard my story, where they struggled in 2020, is that they found themselves in one of these boxes. Most likely, they found themselves in the commitment phase, but the infatuation, the passion, the communication, maybe even the intimacy, even though there was a lot of 2020 babies going on this year, there seemed to be this lack of, you're okay. But yet you find this struggle to break from a commitment because of your morals, values, and belief systems. I know I found myself in that way to where I was blinded, right? Still attracted to this individual, yet I felt still drawn to commit because my morals and values and belief systems were so strong around that through anything and everything, we're going to stay committed. But when you fall into the commitment phase so much, it becomes empty love. There's this emptiness that you fall into to where you lose yourself, and eventually you may lose the other individual. And this is a tough place to reside, because what I believe a lot of people are looking for is love within their own selves and their own lives. I always tell my clients, and I tell people all the time, that a lot of what you're looking for, a lot of what you're attracting in your life is simply a mirror. If you have somebody in your life right now that is detrimental, is pulling you down, not supporting you, a lot of times it's a mirror of your own insecurities, of what you see yourself as. So yet in the universe, you're attracting that. You're around those types of people. So what you can do right now is that you have a place where you reside in this triangle. Whether you're in commitment phase and you feel this emptiness, whether you're in the passion phase and you feel infatuation, or whether you're in the intimacy phase and you feel this sense of physical connection with a person. There's this drawing of emotion that's driving you to stay there. But for some reason, you're wondering, well, what is the grass green on the other side? Or is there something that I'm not doing? Am I missing one of these pieces? What we can do moving forward, like I did, and like many others do, is we can ask ourselves different questions. We can ask ourselves the tough questions that maybe we don't want to answer sometimes. I didn't want to ask myself, Brian, what could you have done when someone had done harm to me? But yet time is inevitable. Time is moving. And we can't get back time. So what we can do now is focus in on the areas of improvement that we can, which is in one of these boxes. Whether it be maybe you need to focus more on the commitment. What does that look like? Is that even something that you're wanting in your life? Are you communicating that with the other individual that you're in companionship with? Are you infatuated and there's a passion, there's an emotional pull to where you are blinded? Is there a physical connection and an intimacy that you're pulled to and drawn towards? And that's where you reside only. Where do you reside? Let me know down below in the comments. Again, hopefully this helped you or gave you a little bit of insight. If this was new to you, welcome to the path of love. I actually have a book recommendation for you. It's actually called The Path of Love by Deepak Chopra. If you are not familiar with his books, they're amazing. If you're into psychology, you're into personal development, and you're into understanding more about you, right? Which is what we're on this channel to do, is improve our lives in all areas to create abundance in love, money, and impact, right? Again, just like I created that formula for you, we've got to hone in on each and every one of these areas. So if your love life is great, but your money is funny, okay, we've got to work on the money part. If your money is great and you are only in the commitment phase and there's this loss of passion and infatuation, then hey, we need to focus on the love piece, how to revive that love story in your life. And the impact is where the passion and the purpose come together. What is it that you want to leave on this earth? Everyone has a soul divine purpose on this earth, and we must discover it. We must seek it out. We must embrace the journey along with however that road looks. We must embrace it and create those growth opportunities in our lives, but understand that everything is happening for us and not to us. So again, thank you so much for listening to this video. If it helped you or gave you some sort of insight, again, hit me the like button down below. It's a quick investment before you leave here, as well as share it out with one friend, maybe 2 friends, 10 friends, whoever it might be you feel like is maybe in one of these circles or one of these pieces of the triangle that they are missing one piece and they need to be reminded of this. As well, go ahead and check out the description, hit a subscribe, hit the notification bells, all those good things. If I can help you, let me know as well. All the links will be below, as well as this book recommendation. Thank you so much again, and I will see you in the next